focusing on next year's budget process now. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Pennsylvania State Representative Stephen Bloom. Thanks for being with us.
Good to be here, Jill.
When we talk about the budget process, many people think about next May, next June, but the budget process in many ways is already underway. Talk to us a little bit about where we stand in terms of revenue. We're still in a down economy. Why is it important to focus on this process now?
Sure. Even now, though we're in the late part of the year, the Appropriations Committee in the House and in the Senate and the governor's team are actually working on next year's budget, because now is the time when those numbers get crunched and where the decisions get made as to what the proposed budget will be that we'll all be discussing next spring. And we are struggling as a state because as of right now, getting about halfway through our fiscal year, our anticipated revenues are off by about 3.5%. Roughly $300 million that we anticipated would be coming in are not there because the economy is still struggling under the weight of so much regulation and taxation, and the numbers aren't what we were hoping they would be, which means as we look into this next budget cycle, which is just around the corner, it's going to be time to make more tough decisions to make sure that we are not overspending and that we're being good stewards of taxpayer dollars.
So let's focus on some of the big ticket items that are on the agenda. Obviously, there's Marcellus Shale, and a lot of discussion still underway, specifics still to be worked out regarding Marcellus Shale. What's on the agenda? What still to be worked out with this issue?
There are a number of proposals on the table. Obviously, Governor Corbett convened his Marcellus Shale task force, and they made a set of recommendations, including recommendations for an impact fee that would be localized, that would actually allow communities where there may be some adverse impacts of the drilling industry to be reimbursed for those and be able to make sure that their roads are properly maintained and so forth. But the proposals that are out there are controversial, to say the least, and there's going to be much debate. My concern as a legislator is that we don't do anything that will stifle the growth of jobs that this industry is generating for Pennsylvania, and that we don't do anything that increases the cost of the gas that's being produced for Pennsylvania consumers. So that's the key for me. We got to keep the environment safe, but make sure we don't stifle the growth in jobs and we don't pass along costs to Pennsylvania consumers.
And that's one thing that will be on the agenda as you work forward in this budget cycle. But let's also focus on another essentially big ticket item, and this is related to our transportation infrastructure. Deficient roads and bridges. This is something that the governor also addressed with a commission. Talk to us a little bit about those proposals, because some of these ideas will need legislative action.
Yeah, the situation we face in Pennsylvania as far as transportation infrastructure is a real challenge, because we've got multiple deficient bridges. We've got issues with our road system either being inadequate to begin with or actually just not being properly maintained. These are important to our economy. We can't run a good prosperous economy if we don't have a good transportation infrastructure. At the same time, again, we're facing this scenario where revenues are falling short of expenses. We're going to have to make continuing series of tough decisions. We can't continue to fund everything. We've got to set our priorities. To me, transportation infrastructure is an extremely high priority, but we cannot raise taxes to fund it, and we can't increase fees on motorists to fund it. We've got to look for other areas in the government where we're either spending wastefully or unnecessarily, make the tough decision to move funding from those areas into key areas like our highway transportation infrastructure.
And we just have a short time left, but are there areas where you'll put that focus in terms of potential cuts?
Absolutely. Continue to focus on the fraud, waste, and abuse that's been documented in the Department of Public Welfare. It continues to be an issue. The Auditor General continues to highlight a huge amount of wasteful spending there. If we could take those funds and use them for something productive that will help all Pennsylvanians, we'd be far ahead.
All right, thanks so much. Come back, give us an update. Let us know how these discussions are progressing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jill.
We've been talking with Pennsylvania State Representative Stephen Bloom. I'm Jill Horner.